UMLA ka VPP na mauring keneng ba HS Kharpran menta ka step ulabu Jingkylli hayeng dorbar Thauan ka jela bahadu kat nutli kidon ki consultant bala Thung daga Sorkar hagi tenat bapher Menteri rangba ka jela kontrat ki sangma haba juba pulaya thu bakakam jongki consultant kalong namar ka jingtibit jongki hakatu kakam kamtam habaya day bat ki project ki bawan na shabar ulaya thu ru ba ka jingsiu yaki kamde satya basiu benai ndrei ka day bet kat kum ka jingla jongki bantrei Hakani ke Jingkylli buongot kila shimbanta banyatai.
Mr. Speaker, sir, reply to star question number 1. A. Sir, the total number of consultants appointed by the government are 36 individual consultants and 59 consultancy firms. B. Sir, the total annual expenditure on monthly remuneration for individual consultants is 4.35 crores for the year 2024-25. Consultancy firms are typically not paid salaries or monthly remuneration like government employees. They are paid consultancy fee which is based on deliverables as per contract.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The Honorable Chief Minister for the reply. I have 5 more supplementary questions. May I know from the Honorable Chief Minister, what is the mode of appointment or engagement of these consultants?
Sir, the different projects or different agencies that are engaging the different consultants, be it individual consultants or be it the firms that are there. So there are processes where sometimes it is through tendering process where firms come in and they bid together and they apply and based on the different factors of the process, the QCBS system or other factors are put into place based on which the consultants are appointed in terms of the firms and individuals also, sir. There is a recruitment process that takes place where interviews are done, if necessary exams are also done. So there are different processes that are followed and these are all mandatory and required. So therefore, these are the methods of the recruitment that is done, sir.
So, how many departments require such consultancy? Whether the government officials themselves are not competent to do the job as the consultants are doing?
Sir, I must thank the honourable member for asking this question. So this is a very, very important question and I'd like to reply to this to the satisfaction of the honourable member. So number 1, he has mentioned about how many departments there are there. So when it comes to the individual consultants, there are 10 departments that are engaging individual consultants. And when it comes to consultancy firms, there are 13 departments that are engaging the consultancy firms. So second part of the question which honourable member has asked is, are the officials not competent enough? Sir, everybody is competent and everybody has a role to play. Everybody has a defined area of expertise. When we talk of consultants, a consultant technically is an individual or a firm which has a certain expertise in a certain matter. Now, so when it comes to appointment of these consultancy firms, most, I should say all the externally aided projects, all the externally projects, and a large number of centrally sponsored schemes and projects. So for example, the EAPs, about 12,000 crores worth of EAPs are being implemented. And in terms of large projects like the Smart City project or the recently Sora tourism project awarded by donor ministry. So these processes or these projects or these schemes, they make it mandatory. I use the word mandatory. It is part of the process. It is mandatorily defined by the externally aided agency or the specific central government to appoint consultants. And as I mentioned, sir, consultants are experts who are, in that particular field. Our officials are obviously, sir, very good. They are very efficient, but they are administratively expert. A political leader also may have a certain knowledge of the political aspect. But then when it comes to aspects, for example, so just so that the House knows, the mandate also requires, for example, recently we had just sanctioned 2,500 crores for the second phase of the World Bank MITP. So that required an environmental and social expert in the externally aided project. Now an environmental and social expert has to look at the environment and social impact assessment. That firm or the individual has to see environmental and social management plans. The same firm has to also look into the resettlement and action plans. They have to look at the indigenous people's development plan. They have to look at community consultation and so on and so forth. So these are very highly specialized areas where these requirements are made. And as I said, it is mandatory as per the EAPs as well as a large number of the central schemes. So also I just want to share so that people are also aware that these are not government jobs. There is a thinking that these are government jobs being taken away into consultants. So these are not government jobs. Government jobs are government jobs. These are the mandated expertise that are required as per the project guidelines being given, which we need to do. Number two, as I said, so these are specialized jobs. These are jobs which a normal team in the administration who are expert in administration and bureaucracy, they are not able to look into these aspects, as I said, like the environmental aspect. So the third and most important thing is that in the individual consultants that we have, a large number of those consultants are our own local boys and girls. And therefore, if you look at, not consultants, but like the projects that we get through these consulting agencies, which are then implemented by MBDA or MBMA or any other agency. Today, MBMA, MBDA, sir, they employ 1,500 people. They are employing to implement these projects, which these consultants helped us, identify, build up, and bring. And 12,000 crores worth of project is going on today in the EAPs, because of which 1,500 jobs have been created in MBMA, MBDA. And you'll be happy to know today that 99.9% of them are all local boys and local girls who are working in these different projects. So you'll also be, there's also the House should know that EAPs, they have a scope of 5%, up to 10% of the funds being used for administrative expenditure. It is mandated again, sir. So that means 12,000 crores of externally aided projects are going on, which means 5% of that is 600 crores. Can be used for administrative expenditure. So these are not money that is coming from our own taxes collection. This is externally aided funds that are coming in. And the consultancy expenditure on a whole of whatever we spend, sir, 87% is today taken from the externally aided projects. So if you're spending 100 crores a year, for example, 87 crores is spent from the externally aided projects, which is funds coming in from outside. So these are the few things which I thought should clarify so that the House is understanding that these are not government jobs, as I said, these are additional experts that are required and mandated by the EAPs and central agencies for us to implement those projects.
So,
next question, please.
So we have so many MBA graduates from states. Are these MBA graduates also qualified to be recruited as consultants?
Yes, sir, they are absolutely qualified. But as I mentioned, sir, earlier, that it's a special expertise that is required for different works that have to be done. Sometimes we need experts and consultants for agriculture-related work. Sometimes we need experts for health-related works. Sometimes we need experts for power department also. Even in areas of education, experts are required. So, sir, when we say consultant, we always think that a consultant is only a administrative or a management consultant. That's what we tend to think. But consultants are subject-wise. There are consultants/experts for environment, for water-related issues, for agriculture-related issues. These are all consultants only, sir. So therefore, an MBA is definitely qualified, and they would be there for a management-related consultancy. But that same MBA may not be able to do the consultancy work when it comes to, say, environment-related issues, because for that we need an environmental expert. So therefore, if there's an environmental expert, then we definitely take in. Now, just to share with the honorable members, sir, that in the beginning, as we started off, we were building the capacity of the department, of the agencies, and of our people, sir. And it is because of the expertise that we were able to put in that we were able to leverage and get schemes from central government and from the EAPs. Today, sir, we are one of the few states to get the highest number of externally aided projects because of the expertise that we took on board. We're also one of the few states to maximize the central government agency schemes. So the project in Sora, worth about 200 plus crores, there was only one project the whole donor ministry was going to give to one of the states in the northeast. It was like a competition almost. And because of the fact that we were able to put in experts and the local, our officials and the tourism team, they worked together with experts. In time, we were able to deliver and get the 200 plus crore projects. So therefore, sir, it depends. The answer is yes also, that they are capable and they can, but it depends on what expertise we require. And to conclude to this reply of this particular question, that today we have 36 individual consultants who are there. And out of this 36 individual consultants, sir, 52%, 19 of them are our own local boys and girls, our own MBAs, our own ex-officials who were there who maybe have retired, or our MBA students, or agriculture experts, or environmental experts, sir. And as we move along, we are ensuring that the capacity of our youngsters is built up through the entire ecosystem so that more and more of our youngsters can become capable to then take on this responsibility that requires global expertise.
Thank you, Chief Minister. Whether the government used to conduct any performance assessments of these consultants, if so, please give details.
Sir, as I mentioned in my reply, that the consultants are paid based on deliverables as per contract. So therefore, once they deliver something, for example, if the DPR has to be made within 2 weeks' time, that deliverable will have a certain amount that has to be paid to them. So therefore, sir, their basic assessment, I should say, is on their own, because if they don't perform and they don't deliver, then they don't get the kind of fees or the money that is being put in the contract. So everything is in the contract and they have to deliver as per a thing, and based on how they deliver, what quality they deliver, on the time they deliver, as per terms and conditions, they are paid. So in a way, so the contract only becomes a mechanism of ensuring that that the payments are made as per the deliverables.
Another question, sir. May I know whether the consultants engaged by the government are performing advisory role only, or whether they are carrying out duties that are normally assigned to regular government officers?
Sir, again, the project-to-project basis, the different aspects are there. But in most cases, sir, the project, the work that happens is, of course, the preparation of DPRs. So that is one of the parts that they do. The second important aspect that they do is what we call the environment and social experts. That is the second part that they do. The third is they work in procurement. Again, procurement is a very complicated step. Agencies like the World Bank, ADB, they are very, very particular about procurement policy. And hence it has to be done in a very, very expert manner as well as, in details. Then the PMU, they also act as PMU. So they are the project management unit. So therefore they check into the different aspects of the project, whether it's being implemented on time or not. Because again, it's mandated by the funding agency that requires us to have them as PMUs. And then, and contract supervision. So in the contract supervision also is part of the work. Again, so these are all aspects which are mandated by the funding agencies for that particular project. It's not something that we have come out with. So therefore, it's all depends on project to project, funding to funding, and based on that, Government of India or the funding agency defines what that funding should be or what that particular aspect should be. And obviously, sir, at the end of the day, the responsibility of the government officials is always the power or the mandate that's been given to government officials. That cannot be taken away by anybody, sir. The particular official at that particular post or level has been given the power and mandated by the government. So the agency comes in and in technical terms, so just to summarize, at the end of the day, plays a role to support the system. And we can use the honorable member's word as an advisory, but the advisory also, as I said, goes into these 3-4 areas that I mentioned of a DPR, environment and social aspect, procurement, PMU, construction supervision. So it depends on all of that. But the primary role is to support the system and not to take over the system, not to interfere with the system, or not to be there to take the responsibility of government officials. They have the defined role, sir, and they go as per the defined role.